Well, good afternoon. My name's Derek Wann. So as well as being head of department in chemistry in the university, I'm co-chair of the Rainbow Alliance, the staff LGBTQ+ network. Like Abby, I recognise that it's a huge privilege to have this platform today, and it's not one that I take lightly. In writing this speech for today, I've spoken to a number of Rainbow Alliance members and allies, and in particular, I need to thank Liz Wanns-Murray, who's my co-chair at Rainbow Alliance, who's on leave at the moment, but she is the glue that holds together Rainbow Alliance. And I want to start with some recollections from the past 12 months. Almost exactly a year ago, we stood here, maybe just outside, the weather was a bit nicer, but we weren't able to deliver the prepared speeches. On the one hand, that made me happy that some of our students were out there protesting about something that they really, really care about. But it also made me sad because we weren't going to get to hear from our colleague, Catherine Cowton, who I know had written a speech that would be a heartfelt critique of how the events at the time, including the EHRC guidance debacle, had left her and others feeling. And I'm hugely thankful to the IT and AV teams in the university because they were actually able to record our speeches after the event and make sure that they were published on the university's YouTube channel. Also around that time, we were struggling with the disappointing news that whilst the University of York would take part in the Parade for York Pride, that the university had chosen not to sponsor the event in a way that meant that we would also have a stall at the Knavesmire. Anyone who's attended York Pride will know that it attracts people of all ages, including people who are prospective students and their parents, and from across quite a wide geographical region. It felt like it would be a perfect place to be advertising the university, the research that we do, and the teaching that goes on here. And our absence was all the more acute because York St John University maintained their position as one of the top sponsors. What was even more disappointing is that the decision not to fund a stall was taken so late that we couldn't make alternative arrangements. Normal service was resumed last weekend, and I understand that the university stall was a roaring success. I mean, a massive thank you to Chris Murphy, who does so much work to make sure that happens. The pictures that I've seen from the event make it look like a fantastic, strong, bold presence from the university. Unfortunately, I was in China on university business and I could not be there. Just looking back over the Rainbow Alliance's past 12 months, LGBT History Month in February was a particular highlight. We had some excellent contributions from people in and around the university, including a very personal perspective from Catherine Cowton. It's also been a positive year for Rainbow Alliance. Our work has been ongoing to deliver the various aims of the Rainbow Alliance Action Plan, and we formed closer ties between Rainbow Alliance, the Staff Race Equality Forum, and Include, the Staff Disability Network, as well as working more closely with the Student Union. However, when I look across the landscape of minority rights across the UK today, I see a national climate that remains deeply polarised. There are ongoing frictions surrounding gender identity, shifting political rhetoric, and navigating safe spaces means that for many in our communities, the world outside can feel increasingly uncertain. Closer to home, many of us have felt that more could have been done to speak out publicly when there have been attacks on our ways of life. We were glad that the university condemned the obviously provocative flag flying nearby to campus. However, just yesterday, the Melrose Gate Crossroads continues to be a place where flags are being flown clearly as an attack based on ethnicity and nationality. I ask the leaders of the university, what is the university doing to encourage the council to deal with this? I'd note that we're also dealing with issues at the moment where a church in York has been simultaneously flyering university buildings to recruit students to its congregation, whilst at the same time, I think, overstepping the mark in terms of vetoing a Festival of Ideas event around Anne Lister from running in the historic De Grey Rooms. My own shock here is that the York Conservation Trust, who look after a lot of the historic buildings for the city, would allow a specific tenant to prevent the use of a historic building by others. And again, I call on the university to protest in the strongest terms to York Conservation Trust and any organisations that fund it. Now, In my speech last year, I had quite a lot to say about the Office for Students versus Sussex University case that was ongoing at the time. At that point, there was only what I could describe as a media frenzy around the possibility that woke Sussex might be getting its comeuppance. Roll forward to this spring, and there was barely any reporting that Sussex University's appeal against the OFS fine had been upheld. The judges presiding over the appeal said that the OFS had misdirected itself, that its decision was approached with a closed mind, and had therefore unlawfully predetermined the decision. It makes me so sad to think of all of the additional aggravation that this has caused to people in this room and more widely. So Rainbow Alliance calls upon the university management to pay more than lip service to us and to other minoritized groups in the university, especially in light of our status as a university for public good, as well as our very long reputation for being at the forefront of fighting for justice. We can't shy away from taking a stand where a minoritized group is being discriminated against in so many different ways. The toilet debacle, which is ongoing, is just one of these. We must be a university that stands strong and proud. Other universities have managed to take a stand about what their line is and, crucially, how far they're willing to go before they say, no, we're not going to be an instrument of the political rhetoric, growing misogyny, homophobia, and transphobia, both locally and nationally. Words are not enough. We need to be taking action. We've got the power to influence, and it's absolutely right that we use that even when it's uncomfortable. So I'll finish with a call to action. I'm reminded of the famous poem, First They Came, ... by the German pastor Martin Niemöller. It's a powerful warning about the dangers of political apathy, cowardice, and the consequences of failing to stand up for the rights of others. I call on everyone here not to stand by and leave this fight to others. If we do that, we'll eventually find that all of our rights are eroded. Thank you.